Thank you, and good afternoon. I'm Roy Silverstein, 2019 ASH President, and it is my great pleasure to welcome all of you to the 61st ASH Annual Meeting here in Orlando. Whether you're a basic scientist or practicing hematologist, an ASH veteran or first-time attendee, this meeting has something for everyone. With participants from nearly 100 countries, this year's meeting includes a prestigious lineup of speakers, new and groundbreaking research, and unparalleled networking opportunities. My first ASH meeting was in 1982 at the 24th Annual Meeting in Washington, D.C. I was a first-year fellow at Cornell in New York City, and it was 37 years ago. At that point in time, the meeting was easily accommodated in the ballrooms and meeting space of two hotels in the Woodley Park region of D.C., the Shoreham and what was then the Sheraton. The next meeting was even more exciting at the St. Francis Hotel in San Francisco, even though my luggage was lost in transit. I recall being overwhelmed by the size and scope of these meetings and the terror of presenting my first ever research data to the leaders in my field. Looking back, those meetings included about 5,000 attendees, compared with an estimated 30,000 this year. Nevertheless, the vision and mission were not different: to disseminate the best science and provide educational and networking opportunities to help hematologists conquer blood diseases worldwide. But when I reflect on those meetings, what I recall was a dedicated group of mostly white, male, English-speaking individuals. Today, what do we see? An amazingly diverse group of women and men, young and less young, white and black, Asian, European, African, and American. Just how cool is that? It's been an honor and a privilege to serve as the president of ASH for the past year. As I reflect on all that we have accomplished as a society, I'm humbled by the dedication and passion we all share for our mission. At this time last year, my predecessor, Dr. Alexis Thompson, delivered a State of the Society address and reported that by virtually all metrics, ASH was in a very strong position. Well, I'm happy to tell you the state of the society continues to be exceptional. It's not an easy task to sum up 12 months of progress in these next 12 minutes, but rest assured, ASH has been charting a course that is bold and innovative with steadfast focus. The society is in an enviable position. We have a world-class meeting and internationally acclaimed high-impact publications. Our global brand continues to grow around the world. We continue to introduce new programs that help researchers and clinicians in their offices, labs, classrooms, and communities. And we're sought after as a respected partner and collaborator, ensuring that ASH has a seat at the table for decisions that affect our patients and our profession. Through a number of key initiatives that I will discuss here today, we are solidifying ASH's position as a nucleus for hematology, a connector of people, knowledge, and vision. We are a driving force that fosters scientific breakthroughs, accelerates the development of new treatments, and promotes better care for patients with blood diseases. Which brings me to one of our most transformational initiatives, the ASH Research Collaborative, or ASH-RC. The goal of the ASH Research Collaborative is to leverage big data to harness the field's collective wisdom for the benefit of patients. The ASH Research Collaborative is creating research-grade blood disease registries and will serve as a bridge between clinicians, patients, and industry to facilitate the sharing of patient data obtained from many settings. We've initially focused on two areas, multiple myeloma and sickle cell disease, as representative of the two major domains of our field, blood cancer and non-malignant disorders. The ASH RC Data Hub is now accepting data from academic institutions, and I'm happy to announce we've received our first data contributions from industry partners, Novartis, who provided data from their prospective multi-center registry in sickle cell disease, and Amgen, who contributed data from 2 trials in multiple myeloma. Since launching last year, we have captured data from more than 3,000 patients with sickle cell and 2,000 patients with myeloma. We're in the process of developing mechanisms that will enable researchers to study the data in order to develop new therapies and hopefully, one day, find cures. We've intentionally focused on 2 rare diseases, where it is even more critical that we're able to aggregate and share data from patients around the world in order to accelerate the pace of new discoveries. Using its data hub as a foundation, the ASH Research Collaborative has launched a clinical trials network for sickle cell disease that we believe will significantly accelerate the drug development pipeline and improve treatment landscape for patients and families living with this devastating illness. By now, I hope you're aware of ASH's unprecedented commitment to conquering sickle cell disease, which for too many years had not received the attention it deserved. Well, now is the time for us to change that. Patients and families touched by sickle cell disease are a vulnerable population who rightfully may have lost trust of the biomedical enterprise. To overcome this, today, more than 20 academic sites across the United States, representing roughly 50,000 patients with sickle cell disease, which, by the way, is over half the population with sickle cell disease in the United States, have stepped forward with an interest in joining the network. A cornerstone of our approach is engagement with the sickle cell disease patient and family community in all aspects of this effort. Over the last year, we have held community engagement workshops in 8 cities across the United States and have learned firsthand about the research priorities of patients and caregivers affected by sickle cell disease. Working together, our goal is to increase the pace of clinical discovery and novel therapeutic development by increasing number of trials and the number of patients involved in trials, and by continuing to support basic research to enhance the range of pathways explored to find new treatments on a scale not seen before. For years, our members have told us that ASH should do more to develop and promote evidence-based guidelines to prevent, diagnose, and treat blood disorders. Well, we've delivered, and your response has been nothing short of amazing. Today, we've completed and published a dozen evidence-based clinical practice guidelines, including our most recently released guidelines on VTE, sickle cell disease, and ITP, with 10 more nearing completion. These living guidelines were developed by and for ASH, and we know you are using them. In fact, our Pocket Guide app alone has a user base of over 15,000 individuals living in almost every country on the planet, 162 countries in total at this point. Our guideline panels include experts from around the world and follow best practices as outlined by the United States National Academy of Medicine, Institute of Medicine, related to transparency, conflicts of interest, voice of the patient, and rigorous evidence analysis. These guidelines are actionable and meant for real-world use to support you and your patients in clinical decision-making. We're making them easily accessible in multiple formats. Whether you prefer our pocket guides or convenient digital access through our website and guideline app, the information is truly at your fingertips to help you find the right course of action for each patient. And these guidelines are having an impact around the world. This year, I participated in the highly successful Highlights of ASH in Latin America meeting in Peru, where I saw firsthand a group of hematologists working to adapt and adopt ASH's guidelines to be impactful and relevant across borders and used on a regional basis. But this is only one of ASH's many global efforts. ASH is a pioneer in facilitating collaboration and the exchange of information. Our 3 international Highlights of ASH meetings now attract more than 2,000 participants combined. We bring world-renowned experts to all corners of the world to the benefit of those who don't have the means or resources to travel to our annual meeting each year. The Highlights of ASH meetings have also made a huge difference on the international training front. As part of our collaborations with international hematology societies to host these meetings, ASH has helped sponsor more than 1,000 trainees to participate in the local training programs in addition to the Highlights meetings. Many of these trainees would not have been exposed to ASH or received this high level of hematology education and training if not for our combined efforts. At the Highlights meeting in Peru this past spring, I was able to participate in the ASH Clinical Research Training Institute in Latin America. This is a 2-day intense workshop to help early career hematologists from that part of the world develop and refine their research skills. This program, now in its 7th year, has had an amazing impact, and I was thrilled to see a second generation of scholars who participated in the CRTI as fellows now come forward to serve as faculty and mentors for the next generation of hematologists. We also have programs like the International Consortium on Acute Leukemia that are having a tremendous impact. This international group of clinical investigators, convened and supported by ASH, sought to improve cure rates in patients with APL in developing countries by implementing a 5-year population-based registry study to tailor treatment regimens based on local resource considerations. The overall survival rate was increased from 50% to 80%, and mortality during induction was reduced by half. Another program making an impact is our African Newborn Screening Initiative, which aims to reduce mortality from sickle cell disease by promoting newborn screening and early intervention in sub-Saharan African countries. This past July, we had very productive meetings in Johannesburg with other members of the Newborn Screening Consortium, government officials, and local laboratory personnel who received training in screening for hemoglobinopathies. Through its generous award programs, ASH continues to shine a light on the work of trailblazers who are at the forefront of scientific discovery, not only to showcase their life-saving work, but to attract bright young talent to our field. We know that today's trainees become tomorrow's leaders. During the past year, ASH has invested over $12 million in career development awards and training programs that have bolstered the careers of over 1,000 hematologists from around the world. ASH has also embarked on a workforce study to ensure we have enough well-trained hematologists, particularly in benign hematology, to meet the growing demand. It's still early, but we are already seeing results that show just how vital mentorship is to the future of the field, and where we might be losing clinical trainees to other pathways within the disciplines of hematology and medical oncology. And we're taking steps to further explore how ASH can address those issues. As I close out this year, I am incredibly grateful to the talented ASH staff who provide an incredibly high level of support to our officers, executive committee, committees, editors, and members. I also want to thank my phenomenal colleagues on the ASH Executive Committee for their passion and commitment to serving ASH. I especially want to acknowledge our incoming president, Stephanie Lee, it will be bittersweet for me to pass the baton to Dr. Lee on Tuesday, but I can assure you the Society will be in excellent hands. And finally, I want to acknowledge all the ASH members who remain devoted to our mission of furthering advances in research, education, and clinical care of hematologic disorders. Ultimately, the true strength of ASH is all of you in this room, both you individually and all of us collectively. Together, we will continue to work to ensure a better future for all of our patients. Thank you.